In 19th century Ireland, British colonial rule encroached on the local Irish culture, with the goal of assimilating Irish speakers into the English language and destroying Irish cultural identity. For the Irish, they had a choice: learn to adapt their culture to the times or risk being forgotten. Many of the Irish in translations are willing to sacrifice pieces of their culture for their own survival.
The old language is a barrier to modern progress. He said that last month, and he's right. I don't want Greek. I don't want Latin. I want English. I want to be able to speak English because I'm going to America as soon as the harvest saved.
Learning English is a necessity for the Irish hoping to make lives for themselves under British rule. They believe that English is the next step in modern progress and that the old language, or Gaelic, is just a barrier and one that they are willing to give up. The idea of the American dream becomes more enticing as famine and eviction spread throughout Ireland, making the need to learn English grow more and more.
Something's being eroded.
All right, fine. Look where we've got to. We've come to this crossroads. Come here and look at it, man. Look at it. And we call that crossroads Tobar Vree. And why do we call it Tobar Vree? I'll tell you why. Tobar means a well. But what does Vree mean? It's a corruption of Brian. An erosion of Tobar Brian. Because 150 years ago... So the question I put to you, Lieutenant, is this. What do we do with a name like that? Do we scrap Tobar Vree altogether and call it what? The Crossroads? Or do we keep piety with a man long dead, long forgotten, his name eroded beyond recognition, whose trivial little story nobody in the parish remembers?
To Owen, the story of Brian and the well is a part of folklore that he deems to be insignificant. He argues that when the name of a location is entirely disconnected from the story it's based on, it loses all cultural importance and becomes just a name. While adapting the Irish names to the English language, some Irish speakers recognize that the insignificance of these stories are able to be given up for the purpose of modernization.
We must learn those new names. We must learn where we live. We must learn to make them our own. We must make them our new home.
I know where I live.
We must never cease renewing those images because once we do, we fossilize.
The Irish recognize that they must be flexible, adapting to the changing social environment in Ireland. It is a dire moment for the Irish. They are at a crossroads. If they try to modernize and adopt the English language, their identity will be completely destroyed by their occupiers. But if they attempt to keep the entirety of their language and culture, they will surely be lost to history. In the context of 19th century Ireland, this was a real decision many Irish had to make. An extreme example of the choice between survival and culture is the potato famine, which takes place shortly after the events of the play. In the famine, Irish people had to again make the choice of staying in their homeland and preserving their heritage, or leaving it all behind and building new lives and histories in America. I love Ireland so much. Love Ireland. Leprechauns, pot of me gold, grab a pint with the boys, football, curling, St. Patrick's Day, Guinness, Dublin, Ireland.